Hey everybody, KC0VI Tom here. It turned out to be a fairly gorgeous day here in North Iowa. It started out kind of gloomy, foggy, rainy. Had a guy call up, said he was going to show up today with the front end loader and move the gravel and what's left of the building, which is over there just out of camera shot. So I had to drop everything and go and cut some old gas pipe out, move stuff around, move the vehicles up to the front, and which is interesting because the road is all tore up right now, so I had to cut across the backyard. So everything I wanted to talk about today just kind of out the window. So I had a couple of interesting questions during the week. We had NIAC graduation this week at the college, along with the nursing painting, which is one of the big events I enjoy doing. Over the last 2 years, I get to know some of these nursing students due to my job as a troubleshooter for the simulation center and AV in the classrooms. Get to know these students. That's a real special event they have on Friday, or this year it was on a Friday. Sometimes it's Thursday night before graduation and just normal graduation. What I like about graduation at night, excuse me, got an itch, probably cat hair. A lot of the old retirees come out and stop down at on campus, talk to everybody, see how things are going. Ooh, I gotta careful how you say that because I am retired from NIAC, so I'm one of those old McGrungeons that show up once in a while for free food and talk to everybody and say, back in my day we did it this way. But anyway, some of the questions they were asked to me, and we're kind of interesting about email, websites, how to secure their computer. We had a couple events this week here in St. Ansgar I was helping out with the museum, the Heritage Museum, and I was getting some questions from the people on the board, and people are coming in, talking and looking at the museum. You used to work at NIAC, you were in IT, right? Yeah, and then they ask these questions. So a little background, I worked at NIAC for 30 plus years, mainly in the IT department, did a little jaunt teaching HVAC. Yeah, everybody kind of look, you hear that and you kind of, oh wait, how does those two come together? Believe me, HVAC and IT go hand in hand. We run on their computer network, we have to follow their protocols, and we have to know how to talk to the IT people. So most of your commercial HVAC people are IT staff, so something to remember. Questions they were getting was how to secure my account, how to secure my credit card, how to secure my computer, how to secure my social media accounts. Lately in the news, there's been a lot of stories about ransomware. Some of the colleges around here got hit with ransomware in the last year and had to shut down for a little bit while they recovered from that. Ransomware is one of those deals. You don't want to pay the ransom. There's no honor among thieves. You have no guarantee that they're going to send you the unlock keys and it's going to work. And what's going to keep them from coming back to you 2 weeks later or 6 months later and nail you again? And a lot of them has some real good questions, so I thought we'll shoot something out here real quick, keep it short and sweet. We'll start with passwords. Passwords are very important. Most places require anywhere from a minimum of 8 or 12 characters long. And I tell people, come up with a group of passwords, anywhere from 15 to 20 characters, uppercase, lowercase letters, numbers, special characters, your question mark, exclamation point, stuff like that. And don't use the same password everywhere. Have a password different for each one. Look into getting what we call a password manager. This could be an online package that you purchase that stores all your passwords, or it could be something you download onto your local machine, or it could be as simple as a spreadsheet or tablet. Write down all those passwords, where they go. I always date them, when the last time that password was changed. As long as you have control, as long as this password little document is secured in a good location, a drawer, a lockbox, somewhere that prying eyes can't find it, it's a nice secure deal. I can get to it easy. I can make my changes. One thing I like to do, each password is unique for that item or that vendor I'm working with. I do not reuse passwords for multiple deals. That's a bad deal to do. And also, when a password is done, I have a second list I call dead passwords. I put that in there and I don't use it again. Now, if I'm using Monkey123 for my banking account and I want to reuse that, I can change it to Monkey1234 or Monkey5678. Make the changes in it so it's not the same. Also, what I do, I take a look at my little list, and like once a quarter, I'll start somewhere in the list and go like 10 or 12 passwords. I'll update them, move the old passwords to the dead list, and make my changes. date it so I know when that does, and 3 months or 4 months later I go to the next 10 or 12, just to keep it fresh and make it a little harder for any bad people out there trying to get in. They can't. I'm a firm believer that your computer should be locked. You should have a password. It doesn't have to be as complex as your credit card or your banking, but have a easy password to get in there. One time I was at work and one of the cats, I'm not sure which one it was, I didn't take the paw prints off the keyboard, walked across the keyboard and somehow got into Amazon and had selected 50 pounds of Tidy Cat. I mean, it was just by sheer chance they clicked on something in the pet department. And I think it was just, they just walked across the keyboard. And I don't store my username or passwords in my web browser, so it was sitting there. There was no account generated, so it wasn't going to get sent off, but it was just caught my attention. I thought, okay, so when I leave the house, I make sure the computer is locked or shut it down. Again, looking to using a password manager, 10 to 15 characters in your password. Always use different passwords throughout all your devices, your services, your banking, your credit card, your phone. Make sure it's all different and randomly go through and change some of them. We'll talk a little about emails right now. Most people enjoy emails, except for if you're younger, they're in more to texting. This will carry over to some texting. If you get a strange email from somebody you have not known or not requested the information, be a little leery in that. What I do is always take my cursor and hover it over the from line, that little line up above with that address. Does the address that pops up when you're hovering over it matches what it says? Does it say Nyack? And you hover it over and it says University of Timbuktu, you know that email has been spoofed. Any links in that email that I'm not quite sure, that email could be strange, I do not touch them. A good example of that is, say I get an email this week, Black Hills, my natural gas company, had a little snafu, and it was sending out emails. I mean, a lot of emails I had on Thursday night from stating that my payment is past due. No, I paid that already. I didn't even touch the email that got to me because there was links in there to check your account. What I did, I went to my browser and went into Black Hills on my normal way, and sure, my account was paid up and it was in, nothing wrong with it. Then I started playing around with that email, and it was all legit. What had happened, found out the next day, they sent an email apologizing. They had a technical glitch, and it was just sending out emails to everybody. It didn't matter what the status of your account was. It was, they thought, the system thought you were past due, but you weren't. They apologized, everything's good. So again, if you get a strange email from somebody you don't know or information that you do not request, be real careful on that. Check it out. Slide that email off to the side. Google the name of the company. See if if you're looking at their website, does it kind of remind some of that gray matter up in your head? Oh yeah, I was here looking at some of the stuff, and I did ask for some information. So a good example we need to be careful about is I do subscribe to Microsoft Office 365. It's X amount of dollars a year, and it's normally, I know rough idea when it's due. And a couple years ago at Thanksgiving time, got an email they claimed they were Microsoft, and the package of Office 365 I was on was no longer available, and it went up 3 times X or 4 times X. And I thought, okay. Then when I hovered over the from button, from address, it was blank. It didn't say anything. So, okay, there's a flag. So I slid the email off to the side, went to Microsoft's website, logged into my account, and sure enough, my account's still valid. The expiration date was what I thought it was, not in November, it was early in the year, and that package is still available. So I found in their website an email link to forward any suspicious email. So I sent this one off to them, and about a week or so later, I got an email from them thanking me for that, and I explained to them why I'm forwarding this email, because the price of the package didn't sound right, and the date that the expiration was didn't sound right, and I verified it with my Microsoft account that I was right and the email was wrong, and the Microsoft address was wrong. And they thanked me, and it was real close. I almost clicked on it, and like I said, I got 30 years of experience. If I almost fell through it, I'm sure other people out there also fell for it. You got your credit card passwords all secured, you got your banking account all secured, you're keeping an eye on any transaction in your bank and all the things you do with your credit card and other, your Amazon, your online shopping, And what I like to do in my email in the inbox, I'll create little subfolders, one for Microsoft, one for my bank, one for electric, one for natural gas, one for, you know, one of that. So it makes it a lot easier when you're trying to hunt down a bill, or somebody says you didn't pay it, or somebody asks you, what do you pay for, you know, cable TV or satellite TV? It's real quick, go in there and find it. It just makes life down the road a lot easier if you have to go back and find something. Church bells are ringing. I'm being, you know. One thing we want to talk about next is phone calls. If you are a supervisor, or if you're running a small company or a medium company or a large company, make sure your employees know never ever say yes on the telephone unless they really know the person well, or really sure, yes, we are going to do this. Because what they're doing is they'll just call up a random company, will call you and say, hey, do you, whatever. And if you say yes, a lot of times it's just, is this Tom Crowley? And I say, yes, this is Tom. They have me saying yes in a recording, and now they can turn around, take that recording out of context and create an invoice and charge me or whoever I'm working for X amount of dollars for bogus service. Now you may think, well, that's not right, and that never happens. Yes, it does happen. We had that happen at the college a couple years ago. One of the office workers got a call from a company, she said, and they asked, do you have HP printers? She turned around and says, yes, we have 2 HP printers over here. Well, thank you, ma'am, and then hung up. We received a pallet that had 2 toner cartridges shrink wrapped to the pallet. Our accounts receivable received an invoice, $1,500 for those 2 toners. When we contacted the vendor and they, want to know what's going on, they said, well, we called and so said yes. We asked them, do you want some HP toners? She goes, yes, we have 2. And so they have it on recording that we asked for toner, and they sent us the bill. Now we didn't pay it, and they started to take us to a collection agency. We told them to go ahead, and they never did. It was just too much of a hassle for what little they're going to gain, so they just left us and went somewhere else. So yeah, it does happen. Be real careful. Another good example is where I work at. We call the area the bullpen. That's where there's 5 technicians who are sitting there. We're within earshot of each other, and one of them will get a phone call, and you hear him talk about it, and all of a sudden he slams the phone down, and salesperson, and one of the other techs will get a phone call and be the same number, and they'll hang up, and then it's my turn when they call me, and oh boy, do I have fun. Is this Tom Crowley? Mm-hmm. Oh, Mr. Crowley. They start going on their sales pitch, what they want to do, trying to get you to say something. You just kind of mumble. Then I'll just real quietly go, this afternoon they get to take me in a squad car. I'm going to show them where the bodies are. Then I get ice cream afterwards. And usually you hear a clunk, or another good one I like to do, the ring. It's a salesperson trying to call in. I'll answer the phone. Yes, this is Detective Harris. Who is this? You called into an active crime scene. Who is this? And why do you want to call this person? Talk to this person. And again, usually it's a real quick click and off to go. So yeah, it does happen. You gotta have fun with these people once in a while, So let's talk about some websites. Most of us use websites for purchasing, personal and business. You may have a friend may tell you, hey, check out this website. They got some fairly good deals. I kind of get a little leery when people tell me that, but there have been some good ones that turn out and some ones that are questionable. What I usually do is, hover over that link and see what the pop-up window shows me, the address of what is in the blue link. And the other thing you want to be careful of is on a web server, you may have 10 or 15 different websites off that one PC. And if one of those websites has some malicious code, depending on the security level of that server, it may leak out and get into other people's websites. That's why if you're ever surfing the web and all of a sudden you get a pop-up window stating this is Microsoft and there's sirens going off saying your computer's infected, please call this right now. That's what we call a drive-by. So what you want to do is disconnect from the internet, power down your system, count to 5, reboot the machine, run your antivirus software. I use Microsoft Defender. It's fairly decent. It's built in. And 90% of the time, you're not going to have a problem with that. One thing to ensure that you're not going to have a problem even better is when you set your machine up, pretty much your Windows machines will set that first account up as the administrator level, which you can do anything you want to that computer. Add software, delete stuff, and the machine will do it. Once I get my account, Tom account all set up, it's at the administration level, I'll activate the built-in administrator account, log into that and don't worry about making the computer pretty, because the only thing you're gonna do is log in there and do some high level stuff and get out and get back into your normal account. I'll take, in the user services section, take my Tom account and lower that from the administrator level down to the standard user. That way, if I do actually get hit by some malware or from a website or a vicious email, it can't install any type of software or do anything like that due to the fact that it doesn't have privileges to install software or modify files on the system. Just that alone will protect you and a good antivirus. Social media. The world would be so much better without social media, but a lot of people like social media. I like to cruise around there just see how different people are. I guess I'll be nice here. When you register your account in one of these social medias, they'll ask you the normal stuff, your email, your name. Then they start asking questions like, no, they don't need to know this. They don't need to know what town I grew up in, what street I lived on, my mother's maiden name, my kid's birthday, my kid's name, my anniversary, my wife or husband or spouse, information. That's private information. No, I'm not going to give that out. And because you want to be careful on how much information you give out, because that can be used against you in the long run. Another thing is when you apply for like credit cards or have credit cards, and some of these security questions, and banks will do it also, is normally it's what town did you grow up in, what was your mother's maiden name, what was the street you grew up in, what was your favorite pet's name, where was the first place you flew on an airplane. Don't give out the correct answers on those with the truthful answer. I always make something up. Then in my password document, I write down what I put in there. Most of the time I say I'm from St. Louis and I went to Roosevelt High School. And my mother's maiden name was what was it? Puppy Chow. Something like just something bizarre, and. So it's just, you want to protect your information because that's private information. You don't need to give that out, and you should not be giving that out because it can be used against you. But like I said, social media, be careful what you put out there. Also, when you post, think about how you're posting stuff and how people are going to be able, to read it and interpret it. A good friend of mine surprised his wife one time for their anniversary. They went down to Jamaica for 10 days. And right before they got on the plane, she hopped on the social media account she had and said, everybody, this is fantastic. My husband just surprised me this morning with a 10-day trip to Jamaica. We're getting on the plane. Suck it, boys and girls. It's 90 degrees in Jamaica right now, and it's minus 12 here in North Iowa. And that was her post. Okay. I saw that, so I DM'd or direct message him and says, hey, I'm backing up to your house. The neighbor came with my truck. The neighbors came over, want to know what's going on. He says, oh yeah, you got a new job and I'm helping you move. You guys will be here shortly. I'm going to unload your house for you and have fun in Jamaica. And he didn't get the message till he got off the plane. You had to shut your phone off in the plane. And he said, at first, I didn't realize you were joking. And I thought, oh my God, Crowley's going off the deep end. And yeah, he was starting to panic a little bit. Then the little voice back of his head said, gotcha. And jokingly, he told his wife that and showed her the deal, and she started freaking out. She goes, I didn't think of that. If somebody who's in IT or works with IT came up with that, it's not going to take much for the bad people to realize we're not home. It's going to be 9 days before we get home. They could go in there and clean us out and have a wild party for 3 or 4 days, trash the joint out, and nothing we can do. What are we going to do? He says, oh, don't worry, Carl will keep an eye on our place. And she looked at him and goes, what do you mean? He's going to have all our stuff in his living room. That's all the way he's going to keep an eye on it. So again, be careful when you post. If you want to brag about your vacation, wait till you come back, then rub it in. The last reason, and I'm holding this last because you'll see why you should be careful on how much information, private information you give out, and your passwords, and why you should change them once in a while. When you post on social media, why? If I know you're out of town, what I'll do, I may know your cell phone number and your provider. And I may call them up because, do a little research. I know that, so, we'll pick on me, Tom Crowley. I always say I'm from St. Louis. I went to Roosevelt High. I'll call a cell phone provider who has my phone number and say, hey, look, Tom's been in a serious accident and I don't know his wife's or his kid's phone number. We got to get a hold of them. I know it's on his phone. I have his phone. Can you give me his PIN number or change the PIN number? And majority of the customer service reps says, no, sir, we cannot do that. And they'll put on some long drag out tear jerking deal and just wear the customer service agent down. And there's been reports where they break down and will actually change the PIN number. Now, this person, thank God it's me, I can get in that cell phone and get all that information. It's amazing what people put in their cell phone, any juicy information. Now, then I can call the bank, say, hey, this is Tom Crowley, bank account so-and-so. We're having a problem with getting some cash out. Can we check my account? And they say, well, I'll have to send you a verification code on your text. So they send me the text to the phone, which I have, and now I have your bank account information. I can change that PIN to what I want. There's been reports of some very high level people in the IT industry who've had this happen, where the guy and his wife were on vacation, but somebody had called the cell phone company and stated that their daughter was deathly ill, and she's trying to get a hold of the husband, and some information on their credit card and the insurance, and she's at the hospital and she was breaking down crying, and the agent actually did it, and they were able to hack and own the guy's credit cards, cell phone, you name it. They had control of it. It took them a long time to get it all straightened up and prove that who he was. So this is why you want to be careful. We call this social engineering, and they spend a lot of time going through, if you're a high-level target, to try to get you. A lot of times you'll see these emails, hey, I'm a prisoner, I'm a former prince of Nigeria, send me $1,000, I'll bribe the guards, get out, and I'll send you $50,000 back. Emails like that we call phishing, where we just send out a blanket email to a whole bunch of people. We could buy a group of email addresses off the black market, and it's amazing. People will fall for it. Some of the little better ones, like I said, that Microsoft one was a phishing email attempt, but I've seen some other ones where there'll be an email supposedly from a sheriff's department down south somewhere, and your grandson or son has been in an accident down here. We're trying to get a hold of anybody, and he had your email address in his phone. And people quickly email, or there'll be a phone number supposedly to this sheriff's department, and people will call it. Well, in the meantime, that call is being transferred overseas or in the islands, and besides getting a big phone bill, they're going to start working you over to get information. Well, the hospital won't do anything until we get some cash lined up. Can you wire some money? Stuff like that. And that's what we call a general phishing scheme. Now, there's also what we call spear phishing, where we're going to target certain individuals. And a lot of companies, a lot of schools, even NIAC does it, will actually have their whole database of contacts out on the public-facing website. You can go in there and you can find all the faculty, all the administration people, all the support people, even myself, on this website. And what you do is you have a little robot, a little script that will go out there and scrape all that information, and you'll have somebody go through it and says, okay, the president of the college is Mr. X, and his assistant is Miss Y. So what we're going to do, I'm going to send her an email and say, I'm a company that's been selling to all the other community colleges in Iowa, and they recommend that I talk to President X and offer my services, and of the product we're selling. Can you give me his personal contact information? And handing out email, not the personal email, but the business emails to the president is fairly common. Or if they can't find the website, or if they just want to start this process of getting in, see how gullible people are at the campus. Then next they'll target 5 or 6 faculty members, or maybe a little more, depending on how greedy they are. And they'll send an email that says, hey, this is President X, we're in a meeting, we're running late, but we came up with this real neat idea to reward people for this last year of doing such good work. I need you to run out and get me $300 of gift cards, and when you do, email me back. Or a lot of times they'll say, text me at this number. So the person will, and we've had people do it, run out, get gift cards, text the number, says, I got the gift cards, now what? And they'll get a response, says, take a picture of the back, send it to me, and stand by. They do that. The bad people cash in the gift cards, and they'll send another text out and say, hey, that was great, can you get us another $300 worth? And hopefully by then, in our instance, the person would got, well, that's kind of odd, and called the office, president's office, and the President X was sitting in his chair and goes, no, we have no meeting. No, we're not doing that. What are you talking about? And we ended up getting the police involved, file reports, work with the credit card company for this person, and we were able to get most of the money back. So it does happen out there. That's what we call spear phishing, where you're targeting a certain group of people or a certain individual. That's why it's not a good idea if you're a business or a school is to list all your employees' contact information, because a lot of places are starting to realize that, and you're seeing that going away. Well, that's going to be a quick wrap here. Again, passwords are real important. You lock your computer up. Make sure you use a lengthy password, 10 to 15. It used to be in the industry, IT industry, best practice state, change your password every 9 days. And what we found out over time is that wasn't a good idea, because usually the first 10 days after somebody changes their password, there's a Post-it note right next to the computer with the new password. Depending on the sensitivity of the data, a lot of places are going to 180 days. Some banks, that data is a little more sensitive, or money agencies are going to a 60-day or even 30 days for certain employees that are in a high area that could be high risk. I know some colleges at the financial aid people and the business office are going to a shorter password and password life length. So it's something to be aware of. Use a password manager. The gray matter is getting a little weak up here. You want to make sure that you're in control of it. Even if it's just like I said, tablet, put into a lockbox or underneath your pillow somewhere that you know where it's at. And the other thing, let your spouse or let your kids know where this information is stored at. I had a heck of a time when TLJ passed. She didn't write anything down. I struggled trying to get her affairs in order and shut down. I'm still fighting with one group. I got pretty much everything done, and it's, and so it could have been a lot easier. I'm trying to make it easier on the day I get incapacitated and the kids have to take over, and so it's a little easier for them. Social media, again, careful what information you give out to them, careful how you post stuff. All your credit cards, again, make sure you change that password once in a while. A lot of people, when you sign up for these accounts, they'll actually generate a random number password. They're okay, but I don't like them just because I didn't make it up, and I'll actually change those and, again, record them. We'll go from there. Emails, again, if you get a strange email, you didn't ask for the information, you don't know the person, and it says this is going to be a fantastic opportunity, it's too good to be true. Yes, it is. Right now, a lot of the students across the country, we're getting into the summertime. Emails are going out stating, hey, I need an assistant to help me this summer. If you want to work for me, contact me, and it's $450 a week. You only got to work 10 days. It's amazing how many kids are clicking on these links, giving them the information. Then they get a text back and say, hey, everything's checking out. Can you send us your bank account information and your social security number for verification? And it's just, then the kids come to us and realize they messed up and they want us to fix it. Well, there's not much fixing it. The only thing we can have them do is start changing passwords and start getting into like LifeLock or some of these other agencies to actually check your credit and keep an eye on your credit. I always tell them what you want to do is freeze your credit rating so they can't open up any new credit cards if they haven't done so already. That's another thing you should probably look at. If you're not in the market of buying a big item, house, cars, or whatever, take a look at freezing your credit rating so nobody can open up something against you. Websites, again, just be careful you're out there running on websites. We had a real good phishing email go out here a couple years ago, and I still have to giggle and laugh about it when I see people who kind of fell for it. The email stated that, hey, I'm so-and-so, and a couple weeks ago you clicked on one of my emails and I was able to install some software. I gained control of your computer. I've been looking around. I have all your contacts off your email account downloaded into my computer. I take a look at your web browser history, and boy, you like to go to some really wild websites. And last time you were out one, we turned on your webcam, recorded you, and also recorded what you were watching. And if you don't pay us X amount of dollars, we're going to send it to everybody in your contact list. I'm sitting there, I got it. I'm kind of giggling about it. I said, ha ha ha, I don't have a webcam. And unfortunately, TLJ got it too. And she came in and said, what's that? I says, you have a webcam on that camera, on that computer? No. I said, it's not, it's bogus. Well, that's horrible. Why are people doing that? But it was surprising the number of people who kind of contacted me below the radar. They didn't want to go through official channels and ask me, say, yeah. I said, ooh, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, say no more, as Monty Python would say. So again, you get in some of these strange emails, read them real carefully and start going through. I don't have a web camera. No, yeah, I do know to go out there and look at, but again, don't worry about it unless you're a high value target. They're for lots of money. They're not going to go after Joe Blow from Idaho. And next time we'll talk about Twitter. I wish Elon Musk would just sell Twitter. My Twitter account's so bad. It's broken, okay? I used to enjoy Twitter, but also now yeah, I really don't need these 21-year-old to 31-year-old gals who think they want to be my friend and offer to send me pictures, and ugh. Somebody buy Twitter, please. Okay, we'll wrap this up. Hope everybody had a nice weekend. We're getting closer to camping season. Hopefully we can go out and do some camping. It turned out to be a gorgeous day. I'm going to make some supper. Everybody stay safe. And again, if you got any questions, put them down in the comments. Keep it not too sensitive. I mean, if you got general questions about network security, computer security, you know, put them down there. We'll answer it. I know a few people who follow this channel who are better in IT than I am. We'll get help. As Red Greenwood says, we're all in this together. We're pushing for you. And again, just take it easy. Make sure you have your computer set up correctly. Make sure your accounts are nice and secured. Oh, if your account, banking, credit cards, Amazon, all these different types of accounts you use, if they offer two-factor verification, turn it on. Make sure, even if it's a text message to your phone or a robot call to your phone, or what they call a YubiKey, which is a little item you plug into the USB port on the computer, and it verifies that I am who I say I am, and it just makes it safer for you to do your shopping. Two-factor identification is very important. I know it's a pain, but it can save you. Again, take care. 7-3, everybody. Be sure to tell your friends, neighbors, other hams. Subscribe, hit that bell to get notification when new videos come out. Add comments below. 7-3, everybody.